Shade's red dress flashed as she stormed the villa, a blurry photo thrust at Tundi's chest.
"You're caught,"
she screamed, voice raw. Aminatu froze, recorder trembling in her hand, while Folake's scarf hit the floor. Tunde stammered, "What's this?" Who was breaking, and how had love turned to war? Unravel the mystery with Baobab African Tales. Subscribe and chase the truth. Gather round, my people, and let me spin you a tale from the heart of Lagos, where the city's beat thumps loud with danfo horns and generator growls. 2 years had passed since Tunde and Aminatu's wedding bells rang out, and the Adeyemi family's villa in Ikoyi stood as a crown jewel in Lagos's bustle. Tucked among wide streets where mansions loomed like village chiefs, the house glowed with wealth. Marble floors, chandeliers sparkling like stars over the Niger. Folake Adeyemi, a woman sharp as a machete, once a journalist digging secrets from Lagos's mud, now a wealthy mama shielding her son Tunde. She often sat in her plush chair, gazing out at the city, her mind drifting back to Chinwe, that slick woman who'd nearly sunk her claws into Tunde's fortune. Years back, Folake's wits saved Tunde from Chinwe, a vulture in fine lace who'd latched onto him, hungry for the Adeyemi fortune. She'd peeled back Chinwe's greedy mask, and in that fight, she found Aminatu. From Makoko, Aminatu came with a heart big as the sky, her kindness a balm to Folake's weary soul. Those early days after the wedding were golden. Trips to Makoko in Tunde's shiny SUV, the two of them laughing as kids splashed nearby, Tunde's eyes locked on his bride like she was his whole world. He'd carry her baskets, fix her old canoe, his devotion plain as day. Folake watched proud, thinking her son had dodged the traps she'd seen too many men fall into. Across Nigeria, Ghana, everywhere their people stood tall. 2 years on, Aminatu's belly swelled with their first child, a blessing to crown their union. Trouble brewed, thick as Lagos traffic, and the peace they'd built trembled. Tunde started rolling home late. His eyes darted, avoiding hers, his shirt wrinkled and carrying a scent. Sharp, floral, not the soap Aminatu used. Aminatu, glowing with hope, didn't see it yet. Her hands busy knitting tiny socks, her voice soft as she hummed Yoruba lullabies. But Folake's heart sank, a cold weight settling in her chest. She watched him slump into a chair, mumbling about oil deals, his excuses thin as Lagos air. She knew this story. When a man drifts, the family trembles, and she wouldn't let it happen here. Folake's sharp eyes caught the signs first. Over a lavish dinner, pounded yam, egusi stew, the table groaning with plenty, she voiced her worry to her daughter-in-law. Aminatu smiled, trusting. "He's just stressed, Mama. Work's tough." Folake forced a nod, spooning stew, but her throat tightened. She saw past the lie, her mind flashing to her own husband's cheating, days nights. She'd cried alone, shame biting deep. That old wound pulsed now. A broken home, a legacy lost. I won't let my son shame us. She whispered and gripped her Ogagoro glass, the burn steadying her, and made a silent vow no one would drag them through that mud. Then came Shade, a dazzling danger from Abaja's rough edges, draped in flashy clothes and nicknamed the Manhunter for her ways. She strutted into Banana Island's glitzy scene, all charm and trouble, catching Tunde at a club. Lights pulsing, drinks flowing, drawing him into her snare. Aminatu stumbled on the truth one day, riding home from Makoko in the family's shiny SUV with their driver, Kofi. Passing Banana Island, she spotted them. Tundi and Shade locked in a kiss by the docks, lost in each other, oblivious to her world cracking. Her heart sank, pain sharp as a Nairobi thorn, but her spirit didn't break. She'd grown up tough in Makoko, paddling through floods, and wouldn't let this woman steal her home. Aminatu turned the car around, her jaw set, ready to fight for the family she'd built. Shade might dazzle, but Aminatu carried a home, a lineage, a love worth defending. Aminatu burst through the villa's gates that afternoon, the SUV's engine still humming as she stumbled inside, her heart a tangled mess of hurt and fire. The quiet living room stretched before her, its plush chairs and soft lights a stark contrast to the storm in her chest. Folake sat there, flipping through an old newspaper, her sharp eyes lifting as Aminatu's shadow fell across the rug. "Mama," Aminatu whispered, her voice quivering like a leaf in the wind. "I saw him with her, Shade, down by the docks." Her hands shook, tears brimming, but her jaw tightened with a grit born from Makoko's tough days. She was scared, her world tilting under her feet, yet something fierce burned inside. Folake dropped the paper, her face hardening as she rose, fury flashing in her eyes like lightning over Lagos. She pulled Aminatu into a fierce hug, her arms a shield against the pain spilling out. "We'll fight this together, child," she said, her voice steady as a rock. Her mind raced. She'd beaten Chinwe before, and this Shade wouldn't win either. "I'll go as Mama Ngozi again," she added, her tone low and sure, "not to test you, but to stand with you." She'd dig out that old wrapper, play the part, and help Aminatu take back what was hers. Across Ghana, Ethiopia, even Harlem's cold corners, mothers and wives knew this pact. When trouble came, you locked arms and faced it down. Folake's steady heartbeat thumped against her ear, a drumbeat of courage lifting Aminatu's faltering spirit. Their bond tightened, forged in this shared hurt, a purpose blooming where fear had rooted. Aminatu pulled back, wiping her face, her eyes still wet but sharp now, ready to reclaim her life. Folake nodded, a flicker of pride in her gaze. This girl had a warrior's soul. When a family's threatened, the women rise, their unity a fire no outsider can douse, a strength deeper than words could carry. Shade tightened her hold on Tunde, her calls relentless, each ring a hook sinking deeper into his wavering heart. She'd whisper promises, her voice silky and warm, tempting him to Banana Island, where the night glittered with danger and allure. Tundi crumbled, his spirit soft as overripe plantain, leaving Aminatu alone in their grand Ikoyi villa. Her prayers rose, fragile and desperate, her belly round with their child, a quiet ache growing where love once stood firm. One humid afternoon, as Tunde showered, steam curling through the house, his phone hummed on the desk, its screen lighting up the dim room. Aminatu, dozing fitfully on the couch, jolted awake, her heart thudding as she reached for it. Shade flashed in stark white, the number beneath it a slap to her soul. Fear clawed up her throat, but she steadied her trembling hands, scribbling it into a worn notebook, each digit a wound she couldn't yet name. That night, Tunde didn't come home. Shade's spell had won again, and the silence roared in Aminatu's ears. Her chest heaved with sobs as she stumbled to Folake's room, the note crumpled in her fist. "Mama, it's her, Shade," she wept, her voice breaking like glass, shame and rage tangling inside her. 30 minutes later, Folake's phone buzzed. A low, sultry laugh confirmed it was Shade. Folake's face tightened, but Aminatu's eyes shifted, darkening with a fury that swallowed her tears, her breath sharp and ready. "Mama," she said, voice quaking, yet iron strong, "I won't let Shade rip my husband away." Folake felt the air shift, her own heart pounding with pride and pain. We'll peel her mask off, child, she replied, grabbing Mama Ngozi's tattered wrapper and peanut basket, her hands steady despite the storm within. Aminatu's world had shifted. Meet me Victoria Island Cafe tomorrow, 10 a.m. Her fingers trembling with each send. We need to talk about Tunde, her will hardening as Shade ignored, then mocked, then finally agreed, thinking she'd outshine her rival. Folake slipped into her faded wrapper, becoming Mama Ngozi once more, her peanut basket slung low as she hit Banana Island's pulsing streets. Clubs thumping with Afrobeat, lights cutting through the humid night, her sharp eyes tracking Shade's every move, gathering whispers of her schemes. She'd tucked a recorder in her palm, a trick from her old reporter days, ready to snag Shade's words and turn them against her, her heart pounding with a mother's fierce resolve to shield her family. The cafe buzzed with Lagos elites, suits sipping coffee, heels clicking, their wealth a loud hum against Mama Ngozi's quiet shuffle. Aminatu walked in, her plain dress taut, voice solid. "Tunde's mine. Back off." Shade sneered, her makeup loud. "I'll take his money, loves nothing, her greed spilling free, unguarded." Aminatu's fear flipped to fury, fists tight, while Folake, hidden nearby, felt pride surge. The recorder hummed, the trap locked tight. Shade's own words her undoing. This wasn't just a fight for a man. It was Aminatu's family, her unborn child's future hanging on her stand, a pulse beating strong in every African home where love battles chaos to hold firm. Folake dialed an old number, Baba Sola, now a big-shot eatery owner in Abaha, Shade's home turf. Back in her journalism days, he'd been a roughneck, a gangster she'd pulled from the fire with tips and favors, setting him straight. "Spread this," she said, voice low. "Tunde's hooked up with a fine girl in Port Harcourt, buying her fancy houses, sleek cars, the works." Baba Sola chuckled. "For you, Mama, it's done." She hung up, her scarf tight in her grip, knowing the rumor would blaze through the village, hitting Shade and her crew hard. This wasn't just talk. It was a spark to burn Shade's pride down. Folake's heart beat steady, a mother's plan to shield her own, taking root. Razor sat at Baba Sola's joint, nursing a beer, when the chatter hit, village tongues wagging about Tunde and some Port Harcourt beauty decked out with houses and cars. His scar twitched, eyes narrowing. He'd loved Shade in secret, a quiet ache he'd never dared voice, and Tunde stealing her stung deep. Now this, a chance to twist the knife. He grabbed his phone, dialing fast. "Shade," he growled, voice thick with spite. "Tunde's playing you. Got a hot chick in Port Harcourt, spending big. He's laughing at you." Shade's silence crackled, then her breath hissed out, fury rising. Razor smirked. He'd lit the fuse. Payback for Tunde taking what he'd dreamed of. A fire spreading quick, and Razor fanned it, ready to watch it burn. Shade's manhunter blood surged. She hadn't scrapped her way out of Abaja's slums to lose Tunde to some Port Harcourt side piece. Razor's call lit a match in her chest, jealousy and rage blazing. She tracked him down in Oshodi, slamming cash on a sticky bar table. "Get me proof," she snapped, voice trembling with heat. "Follow Tunde. Fake it if you have to. I want him caught." She'd lie before losing. Razor, fueled by his own grudge, nodded, pocketing the money. He staged it quick. A blurry shot of Tunde with a stranger woman by a car lot, her arm on a Benz. The lie to nail him. Shade clutched it, her slum-bred fire burning wild, ready to turn Tunde's world upside down. Aminatu's text sliced through the air like a blade. "Our house. Tonight. Face us." The door banged open, and Shade stormed in, her red dress blazing like a fire nobody could ignore, Razor's fake photo clenched tight in her fist. a cheap trick meant to draw blood. The living room swelled with tension. The air so thick it pressed against the walls, every breath a spark waiting to ignite. Aminatu stood rooted, her simple wrapper stretched over her belly, slamming the recorder onto the table with a thud that echoed. "Listen to this, Tundi," she said, her voice steady but carrying an edge sharp enough to cut. "This is who she really is." She pressed play, and Shade's voice snarled out, loud and ugly. "Tundi needs fire! I'll take everything." Tundi jolted like he'd been slapped, his beer slipping from his hand, crashing to the tiles. What's this?" he stammered, his voice rough with shock, eyes darting between the recorder and her face. Shade didn't flinch. She lunged forward, shoving the photo under his nose, her slum drawl spitting venom. "Don't act clean, Tundi. You're the one messing around. Look at this, caught with her, buying her cars and houses." Her eyes burned wild, her whole body trembling. Tunde's face twisted, anger flaring as he snatched the picture, tearing at it. "This ain't real. I never stepped out like that. You cooked this up, didn't you?" Folake swept in then, peeling off Mama Ngozi's scarf with a flourish, her caftan billowing like a thundercloud. "It's a lie, my boy," she roared, her voice deep and commanding, a matriarch's fury rattling the chandelier above. "Razor's my old Abaja connection. I helped Baba Sola turn him straight years back. I paid him to flip on her, and he did. Sold her this fake trash for my cash." Shade spun around, her scream piercing the room. "You set me up, you old hag." But Tunde cut through, his voice rising, thick with hurt and heat. "No, Shade. You're the one playing dirty. I trusted you, let you twist me up, and this is what you bring? Lies?" Aminatu stepped forward, her gaze a fire that wouldn't flicker, her words slow and deliberate, slicing deep. "You hunted my husband, Shade, sniffed around him like a jackal, but I'm the one still standing here, and you're done." Folake towered beside her, her growl a final hammer blow. "Get out now, girl, or I call the police to drag you through the mud you crawled from. Move!" Shade's bravado cracked wide open, her face crumpling as she stumbled back, heels skidding on the wet tiles. She flung one last snarl, "You'll regret this," but it broke into a wail as she bolted, the photo slipping from her grip, fluttering useless to the floor as the door slammed shut behind her. The rain swallowed Shade and her red blur vanishing into the night, leaving a hush that weighed heavy on the villa. Tunde dropped to his knees, hitting the floor hard, his hands scrabbling at Aminatu's wrapper like a man drowning. "Aminatu," he choked out, voice raw and ragged. "I'm so sorry. I was blind, stupid, lost in her mess. I didn't see what I had right here." His tears soaked the fabric, his shoulders shaking as he looked up, eyes pleading, broken wide open by the weight of his own folly. "I swear I'll make it right. Don't let me lose you, please." His words stumbled over each other, a desperate rush, the oil-rich prince stripped bare, begging for the home he'd nearly thrown away. Aminatu stood over him, her frame still as a pillar, her victory sharp but tasting bitter on her tongue. Her strength held firm, a quiet fire that had carried her through Makoko's floods and now this storm. But her heart ached, bruised by the man she'd loved. "You tore us apart, Tunde," she said, her voice low, steady but cracking at the edges. "Shattered what we built with your wandering. You want forgiveness? Fix it, prove it. Or nothing left." Her eyes locked on his, fierce and unyielding, yet glistening with the hurt she couldn't hide. A mother guarding her child's future, a wife wrestling with what remained. Folake lingered near, her chest tight as she watched, her caftan rustling soft in the stillness. Pride swelled in her for Aminatu. this woman who'd stood tall when the ground shook, but it tangled with a slow-burning rage at Tunde, her son, who'd let this filth into their house. What a rugged road. And now it's your turn to talk. Ever faced a love battle like hers? A sly outsider like Shade sneaking in? Or a fierce woman stepping up to fix the mess? Share your story in the comments. We're all ears, ready to weave it into our next video straight from your life. Still searching for that real love? Comment this: Lord, shield my heart with a true soul. A prayer for someone to walk this bumpy path with you. Aminatu's faith and fire won out, paving the way for a sweet, joyful end. And just as you'd figure, Aminatu's rock-solid faith and fierce fight broke every wall Shade built. Her spirit, tough as Mokoko's roots, carried her through. Now she's stepping into an ending sweet as ripe mango, full of joy, glowing like a Lagos dawn after the longest night. Tunde stayed, his hands now gentle, weaving a hammock from soft rope under the villa's mango tree. Aminatu leaned against the trunk, her newborn son, Ade, nestled in her arms, his tiny fingers curling around hers. She smiled, a glow breaking through her once-wounded eyes, as Tunde hung the hammock, grinning. For our king to swing? Ade's birth had washed their pain clean, his name, crown, a gift of new beginnings. That evening, the sweet scent mingling with Tunde's laughter as he danced Ade around, singing off-key Yoruba praises. Folake joined them, her caftan bright as dawn, setting out a tray of chin-chin, her voice teasing. This boy's spoiled already. They ate under the stars, the villa alive with their chatter. Plates clattering, Adi's coos rising, a family woven tight again. Tunde pulled Aminatu close, whispering, "You're my home." And in that embrace, their joy bloomed sweet, a promise kept, a hearth rekindled, for every African soul. Hey, Baobab African Tales fam, we've got gripping stories brewing, tales of mystery, justice, and wisdom rooted deep in our soil. Stay blessed, stay wise, and never let the shadows fool you.